I still remember the sound of my son's scream. Not because it was loud. Because nobody moved when he cried. Not my mother. Not my cousins. Not the relatives sitting comfortably inside the air-conditioned living room. And worst of all, my father stood there recording everything with his phone. My name is Daniel. I'm 34 years old, a single father, and until that day, I believed that family would always protect family. I was wrong. The whole nightmare happened during a 4th of July family gathering at my parents' house. My son Ethan was only 6 years old. A sweet kid. The kind who thanked waiters, hugged stray dogs, and cried when cartoon characters got hurt. I arrived late because I had worked a double shift. When Ethan and I walked into the backyard, everyone was already there. My cousins were swimming. The adults were drinking lemonade and chatting. My mother, Linda, immediately walked over. "There you are," she said. Then she looked at Ethan. "Oh my goodness. You've gotten so skinny." Ethan smiled nervously. He never felt comfortable around her. To be honest, neither did I. Growing up, my mother had always favored my younger sister and her children. Everything they did was perfect. Everything I did was wrong. When I became a single father after my wife passed away, things became worse. Mom constantly criticized me. "That boy needs a mother's touch. You're raising him too soft. He's too sensitive." I usually ignored it. For Ethan's sake. That afternoon started normally. At least it seemed that way. After an hour, I went inside to help my uncle move some furniture. Ethan was coloring at the patio table. Or so I thought. About 15 minutes later, I heard a cry. A terrible cry. The kind that makes every parent instantly panic. "Dad!" I dropped everything and ran outside. What I saw made my blood freeze. Ethan was sitting on the concrete driveway under the blazing afternoon sun. His face was red. His legs were shaking. He was sobbing uncontrollably. The concrete was so hot that even I could feel the heat through my shoes. Meanwhile, several cousins were standing near the doorway laughing. My mother stood nearby with her arms crossed. I sprinted toward my son. "Ethan." I picked him up immediately. His skin was burning. "What happened?" He wrapped his arms around my neck and cried harder. "Grandma said I had to stay there." I looked at my mother. "What?" She rolled her eyes. "Oh please. Don't be dramatic." My hands were shaking. "You made him sit on hot concrete?" "He was being disrespectful. He's 6 years old. He refused to give his seat to your sister's son." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He had a coloring book. He wasn't bothering anyone. Mom shrugged. "Children need discipline." At that moment, something inside me broke. I carried Ethan inside and checked his legs. They were red. Painfully red. My aunt looked horrified. "What happened to him?" Before I could answer, Mom jumped in. "Daniel is exaggerating again." But then Ethan quietly spoke. "Grandma said nobody could help me." The room became silent. I expected someone to defend us. Nobody did. Most people simply looked away. That humiliation hurt almost as much as the anger. I took Ethan home immediately. At the emergency clinic, the doctor confirmed he had mild heat burns. Nothing life-threatening. But enough to cause pain for days. I was furious. I wanted to confront my parents. I wanted to scream. But then something unexpected happened. That night, my father called me. Now, my father was never emotional. Never. So when he said, "We need to talk," I knew something was different. "What?" There was a long pause. Then he said something that shocked me. I recorded everything. I sat upright. What do you mean? I filmed the whole thing. For a second, I thought he was defending Mom. Then he continued. Because this wasn't the first time. My heart stopped. What? Dad sighed heavily. I've been noticing how your mother treats Ethan. Suddenly years of memories flashed through my mind. The criticism. The favoritism. The little insults. The coldness. I didn't know what to do, Dad admitted. So I started recording whenever she was around the grandchildren. I couldn't speak. Then came the first twist. My father sent me several videos. Not one. Several. Video after video showed my mother targeting Ethan. Mocking him. Excluding him. Punishing him differently from the other children. And nobody had ever told me. Not even Dad. I watched until 3 in the morning. By the end, I was sick to my stomach. But the biggest shock came from the final video. The one from the driveway. It clearly showed my mother ordering Ethan to sit on the concrete. Then laughing when he tried to stand up. The cousins followed her lead. My hands clenched into fists. I wanted to expose everything immediately. But Dad stopped me. Wait. For what? There's more. I had no idea how much more. 2 days later, Dad came to my house. He looked exhausted. Older. Almost defeated. Then he revealed the second twist. For years, he had secretly paid for many family expenses. Medical bills. School tuition. Holiday trips. Most relatives believed my mother was the one helping everyone. She constantly reminded people of her generosity. But according to Dad, most of the money had actually come from him. And every time he tried to correct the story, Mom would start a fight. Then Dad showed me financial records. Everything was there. Years of receipts. Years of proof. Suddenly I realized something. My mother's entire reputation was built on a lie. People thought she was the heart of the family. The selfless hero. But behind closed doors she humiliated a 6-year-old child. And took credit for sacrifices she never made. Dad looked at me. I'm done protecting her. A week later came the annual family reunion. Nearly 40 relatives attended. Everyone expected another normal gathering. They were wrong. Dad stood up during dinner. I need everyone's attention. The room became quiet. Mom smiled confidently. She thought he was about to praise her. Instead, Dad connected his phone to the television. What are you doing? Mom asked. He didn't answer. The first video began playing. Everyone watched. My mother mocking Ethan. Another video. More humiliation. Another. And another. The room grew silent. Nobody laughed anymore. Nobody defended her. Then Dad displayed years of financial records. The truth came out piece by piece. Every lie. Every manipulation. Every act. I looked around. People were stunned. Some were crying. Others looked angry. My mother stood frozen. Finally she shouted, "You're turning everyone against me." Dad's response was calm. "No. Your actions did that." The silence afterward felt endless. For the first time in my life, nobody rushed to protect her. Nobody made excuses. Nobody blamed me. Then something happened that I never expected. My cousin Rachel stood up. She looked directly at my mother. I laughed that day. Tears filled her eyes. I'm ashamed of myself. Then another cousin apologized. Then another. One by one. The people who had stayed silent finally spoke. And my mother had nowhere left to hide. That should have been the end. But karma wasn't finished. Within months, relatives stopped inviting her to organize family events. People stopped believing every story she told. Trust disappeared. Not because anyone punished her. Because they finally knew who she was. Meanwhile, something beautiful happened. My father left her. Not dramatically. Not angrily. He simply said he was tired of spending decades defending behavior he knew was wrong. He moved into a small apartment nearby. And for the first time in years, he became a real grandfather to Ethan. They started fishing together every Saturday. Building model airplanes. Watching baseball games. The relationship Ethan always deserved. One evening, almost a year later, Ethan asked me something. Dad? Yeah, buddy? Was Grandma ever sorry? The question hit me hard. I thought carefully. Then I answered honestly. I don't know. He nodded. Then smiled. That's okay. Why? Because Grandpa stayed. I felt tears fill my eyes. Out of everything that happened. The betrayal. The humiliation. The anger. That simple sentence mattered most. Because family isn't the people who share your blood. Family is the people who choose to protect you when it matters. My mother chose cruelty. My father eventually chose courage. And my son? He taught all of us what real strength looks like. The day my mother sat my son on burning concrete, she thought she was teaching a child a lesson. Instead, she exposed herself. And thanks to the man holding the camera, the truth finally had nowhere left to hide.